When a narcissist fears of your presence, the 4 major weaknesses of a narcissist exposed. Everyone, allow me to divulge a hidden truth. Narcissists aren't nearly as strong as they believe themselves to be. They're profoundly feeble individuals who rely on others for their energy, which is known as supply. Remove this supply, and they'll be left with a vulnerable, inept, and fragile entity that's devoid of its identity. Anyway, stick with me to learn more about their weaknesses as I shed light on the narcissist through self-analysis. Welcome to another video, where I'll uncover 4 weaknesses that all narcissists have. But before we delve into number 1, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Your subscription to this channel helps raise awareness about narcissistic abuse. Now, let's begin. Number 1. Narcissists are incapable of introspection. These individuals meticulously examine your actions, words, and behavior, scrutinizing you for any mistakes, flaws, or poor decisions. Nevertheless, when it comes to their own conduct, they're faultless in their eyes. They relish being in the spotlight, but not for the right reasons. They're constantly observing and judging your every move. To avoid looking inward, they're oblivious to their own faults. This isn't because they don't possess any, but because they choose to ignore them. You're likely already aware of this. Over time, this inability to self-reflect becomes their biggest weakness, hampering their potential for personal growth and worthwhile partnerships. Despite their apparent confidence and superiority, their failure to self-analyze keeps them trapped in a cycle of avoidance and deflection. This cycle prevents them from internalizing their mistakes or acknowledging their wrongdoing, causing them to remain stagnant and unchanging. Thus, their life is their karma. Their incapacity to reflect ultimately restricts them in a perpetual state of self-deceit, guaranteeing their unhappiness, no matter which direction life takes them. Number 2. Narcissists detest humility and humbleness. Narcissists harbor a severe distaste for humility. As you're well aware, they regard themselves as superior beings, and the concept of humility contradicts their inflated self-perception. Embracing humility requires accepting one's limitations, flaws, and mistakes, something they refuse to do. Whenever an opportunity to learn and grow arises, they flee from it like the plague. Their grandiose opinions lead them to believe they're better than that, or that they already know everything about everything. They'll twist facts, deny reality, and even rewrite history to preserve their entitlement mentality. They'll force you to believe they're always right, and if something goes wrong, it's never their fault. Their false sense of self-importance renders them inflexible and unable to see life beyond the construct they've created for themselves. They firmly, yet delusionally, believe that their distorted map of the territory is an exact representation of reality. Life never humbles them because they possess zero adaptability. Although life presents them with numerous opportunities to bend, change, and develop, they resist. Instead, they ultimately shatter when they can no longer uphold their facade. When they arrive at this breaking point, they collapse. Number 3. Narcissists are highly unforgiving. Narcissists almost never genuinely forgive perceived slights or offenses. They tend to cling to grudges, nurturing their wounds for decades. They not only become angry, but they also frequently seek retribution. Their preferred mode of operation is an eye for an eye. Their intention is to inflict the same degree of pain they believe they received, not only to restore their sense of justice, but also to re-establish their dominance and control. Contrary to their intended consequence, their unyielding rage keeps them ensnared in cycles of bitterness and revenge, impeding their progress and personal growth. Their incapability to forgive and let go sustains their past and imprisons them. Ironically, though, they blame you for dredging up the past. Have you had similar experiences? Share your insights and experiences in the comments below. Obsessing over revenge consumes their thoughts and energy, leaving no space for self-examination. They squander all their energy concentrating on other people, leaving none to focus on themselves constructively, which is another cause for their lack of personal transformation. Number 4. Narcissists see themselves as the biggest victims. Despite being the initial conflict catalyst and the party responsible for causing harm, narcissists possess a rare ability to manipulate narratives so that they always appear as the aggrieved party or the greatest victim in the world. My mother personifies this character trait. She describes herself as the greatest martyr, the sacrificer, and the victim of her situation. Somehow, she perceives everything and everyone as attacking or punishing her, yet she believes she is always in the right, a saint who can never do any ill. Multiple goals are served by this narcissistic self-victimization. It enables them to avoid accountability, evoke compassion, and manipulate others. They draw you into their distorted reality by manipulating your emotions and perceptions. You discover yourself showing compassion for them, aiding them, or even blaming yourself or others for their troubles. I went through this for the majority of my life, and I can't describe how draining and harmful it was. It felt like someone was constantly sapping my life force by harping on their victimhood. In my view, it is their own punishment, even though it inflicts harm on others. Why is this their punishment? Because they persuade themselves that they are powerless and unable to do anything about their situation. They cast their inability to cope onto a world that they view as unjust. If everything appears unalterable, how can change occur? If you don't change, how can your situation improve? As a result, you will simply blame it on your destiny or fate. That is precisely what covert vulnerable narcissists do. They stoke their victimhood by their own actions and then blame you for it. To conclude, a narcissist is not as all-powerful as they believe themselves to be. They construct this false persona, but in order to uphold it, they require you above all else. To maintain this false self, they rely on others for supply. However, the fact is that it is a fake self, and by its very nature, it is doomed to perish. Without supply, it will perish. Their supposed power does not exist in reality. It is nothing more than a warped perception and an exaggeration at best. That concludes today's session. I hope you found it informative. If you did, let me know in the comments, and I'll chat with you in the next one. Until then, let the healing begin and continue.